Hello everyone, and welcome back to today's video. In this session, we will be focusing on Rule 24 towing and pushing from the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, commonly referred to as COLREGS 1972. This rule specifically addresses the procedures and requirements for towing and pushing operations at sea. If you have ever wondered how vessels are towed safely or why certain lights and shapes are displayed on vessels during these operations, this video will provide a thorough and clear explanation. Before diving into the technical specifics of Rule 24, it is essential to understand the broader legal and regulatory framework governing maritime safety. The International Maritime Organization, IMO, has adopted a total of 69 international maritime conventions aimed at enhancing safety at sea, preventing pollution, and regulating navigational practices globally. Malaysia has ratified 31 of these conventions, including the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, 1972. These regulations were internationally adopted in 1972 and came into effect on July 15, 1977. Malaysia ratified COLREGS on December 23, 1980, which is also the date when the convention became enforceable within Malaysian waters. Domestically, the legal authority for enforcing COLREGS in Malaysia is derived from the Merchant Shipping Ordinance MSO 1952. Specifically, Section 252 empowers the Minister of Transport to issue regulations to prevent collisions, including rules regarding the display of lights, fog signals, and the steering and sailing of vessels. Between December 23, 1980 and 1984, although Malaysia had ratified COLREGS, Port State Control Officers, PSCO, or Flag State Control Officers, FSCO, could only detain vessels for non-compliance with collision regulations. They were not yet empowered to take legal action in court. It was only after the introduction of the Merchant Shipping Collision Regulations, Order 1984, issued under the authority of Section 252 of the MSO 1952, that these collision regulations, including Rule 24, became fully enforceable in Malaysian courts. In more recent times, Malaysia Shipping Notice, MSN, November 2023 has played a critical role in updating and disseminating these requirements to the maritime community. This notice announces the official gazettement of the Merchant Shipping Collision Regulations, Amendment Order 2023. As part of this update, the schedule of the Merchant Shipping Collision Regulations, Order 1984 PU, A 438/1984, which originally incorporated the 1981 amendment, has been revised to reflect a complete set of cumulative amendments. These include the updates made under the Merchant Shipping Collision Regulations, Amendment Order 2000, incorporating the 1987, 1989, and 1993 amendments, as well as the most recent changes introduced through the Merchant Shipping Collision Regulations, Amendment Order 2023, which incorporates the 2001, 2007, 2013, and 2023 amendments. Together, these revisions ensure that the 1984 order remains aligned with the latest international and domestic collision regulations. All stakeholders are advised to comply with the updated regulations, which came into effect on August 29, 2023. Additionally, Section 81 of the MSO 1952 ensures compliance by mandating that shipowners maintain access to the latest Malaysian legislations, notices, international rules, and other publications related to maritime safety, security, and the marine environment. Owners who fail to comply may face fines of up to 25,000 ringgit for each vessel affected. This requirement reinforces the need for ships to have the latest versions of COLREGS, including Rule 24 and MSN November 2023 available on board. With this legal and regulatory framework in mind, we can now focus specifically on Rule 24, which governs towing and pushing operations. Rule 24 is part of the broader COLREGS framework, which establishes guidelines for vessel conduct to prevent collisions in all navigable waters. The main purpose of Rule 24 is to define the lighting and signaling requirements for vessels involved in towing and pushing. These visual signals are critical for informing other mariners about the presence, type, and length of tows, which is particularly important during nighttime, restricted visibility, or in congested waterways. Rule 24 towing and pushing A power-driven vessel when towing shall exhibit, under paragraph A, A power-driven vessel engaged in towing must display 2 masthead lights vertically instead of the single masthead light prescribed by Rule 23. If the tow exceeds 200 meters, 3 masthead lights are required. Additionally, the towing vessel must display side lights, a stern light, and a towing light in a vertical line above the stern light. A diamond shape must also be shown if the tow exceeds 200 meters, positioned where it is most visible. These lights and shapes help other vessels gauge the length and status of the tow, enabling safe navigation around it. Paragraph B clarifies that when a pushing vessel and the vessel being pushed are rigidly connected as a composite unit, they are considered a single power-driven vessel and should display the lights prescribed in Rule 23, rather than the specific towing lights. Paragraph C states that a power-driven vessel pushing ahead or towing alongside, except when forming a composite unit, must display 2 masthead lights in a vertical line, side lights, and a stern light. Paragraph D further specifies that these vessels must also comply with Rule 23A(2), which dictates the positioning of masthead lights according to vessel length. For the towed vessel or object, paragraph E requires side lights, a stern light, and, for tows longer than 200 meters, a diamond shape at the aft end. Paragraph F explains that multiple vessels towed alongside or pushed as a group can be treated as one vessel for lighting purposes. Pushed vessels not in a composite unit display forward side lights, while towed vessels alongside show a stern light and forward side lights. Paragraph G focuses on inconspicuous or partly submerged towed vessels or objects, such as barges or drakens. If the object is less than 25 meters wide, it must have an all-round white light at the forward and aft ends, except drakens at the forward end. For objects 25 meters or more in width, additional all-round white lights mark the extremities. If the tow exceeds 100 meters, extra all-round white lights are placed to ensure no distance exceeds 100 meters between lights. Diamond shapes are also used to indicate the aft end, and an additional one is shown if the tow exceeds 200 meters. This ensures even low-lying objects are visible and identifiable at night or in restricted visibility. Paragraph H acknowledges situations where displaying all lights or shapes may not be possible, and requires that all possible measures are taken to indicate the tow's presence. Paragraph I covers emergency towing situations, where vessels not normally engaged in towing may not display all prescribed lights but must still take all measures to indicate the towing relationship, such as illuminating the tow line under Rule 36. In conclusion, Rule 24 establishes a comprehensive system for lighting and signaling vessels involved in towing and pushing operations. Whether towing astern, pushing ahead, towing alongside, forming a composite unit, or towing inconspicuous or partly submerged objects, the rule provides detailed requirements for masthead lights, side lights, stern lights, towing lights, all-round white lights, and diamond shapes. In Malaysia, these requirements are enforced under the MSO 1952, the Merchant Shipping, Collision Regulations, Order 1984, and MSN November 2023, with Section 81 ensuring access to up-to-date publications on board. These measures collectively ensure that Rule 24 is both an international standard and a legally enforceable requirement for maritime safety in Malaysian waters.
Thank you for watching this video, and see you soon.